Let's get started. So, I'm Sarah. If you haven't met me, I'll turn my camera on. Hold on. I'm Sarah. If you haven't met me yet this semester, I'm just going to be going through the practice exam. Before we start, I have not Zoom Pro, so I'm going to have to upload two separate videos onto Canvas, and at the 40-minute mark, everyone's going to have to hop right back onto the Zoom meeting, if that's okay. But let's get started. Um, let me, let's see. Let me try to open up this practice exam. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, one sec, I'm pulling it up. Okay. So let me share my screen with everyone. Before I start, does anyone have any outstanding questions that they want to talk about overall, like overarching questions about how the exam works or anything like that?
I have one.
Yeah.
So it talks about notes. So like, am I able to write on my notebook and then just use that?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Or do
I'll
I have to show
actually
the notebook?
I don't believe so. I'll show you what I did. I know it's recording your face and it's recording your screen. But what I did was I built an Excel sheet that I did my practice test on, and I wrote notes in my Excel sheet, and I just used that Excel sheet that I had used all semester, that I had built things on my exam. So it's open note, open book. So if you want to take notes, if you want to take notes right now while we go through this practice exam, if you want to build out parts of models in your Excel, you can do that. I actually suggest doing that. It's part of your notes, and you can just use it right there in the exam. You also can write notes on a notebook or on a note card or whatever you want. Um, the only tricky thing about this exam is that it doesn't account for flow through error. So, what I mean by that is that if you make one little mistake somewhere in your Excel, it's going to throw off every answer. And so the average on this test has historically been really low. And it's because if you mess one little thing up, you lose a lot of points because if you mess it up in the beginning, you'll get the whole thing wrong, even if you did everything else right. So you just have to be really precise. Um, but it shouldn't be too hard because you have your notes and you can do the practice exam, which is really, 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 really similar to the actual exam. And it should give you different numbers every time. So if you're confused or you want to try it again or practice again, you can take it as many times as you want. Okay. Anything else, or can I get started?
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
So, on the exam, are we gonna have basically, so is it gonna be like the same questions that's on the practice test, but just with different numbers?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I think she'll do a question about EAC, a question about OCF sensitivity, question about MPV decision rules. There's probably a couple of those. It's going to be really similar to the practice test. Different numbers, different number of years, different company names. Um, there might be one or two of the shorter questions at the beginning that are different,
Okay.
but it'll be really similar. So if you
Okay.
understand the practice test and you're doing well consistently on it, I would assume that you do very well on the actual exam.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, are we good? Ready to start? Okay, I'll share my screen. Well, first let me open a blank Excel. And I will also post my Excel to Canvas after, so you guys can see how I worked through it. Um, just so we don't lose anyone in the cracks. So if you have questions, feel free to stop me. But I gotta be done by 6, so we'll see how it goes. So, let's see. Okay. Question one, here's the practice test. Question one is you own a house that you rent for $14.50 per month. The maintenance expenses on the house average $270 per month. The house cost $233 when you purchased it 4 years ago. A recent appraisal on the house valued it at $255,000. If you sell the house, you will incur $20,400 in real estate fees. The annual property taxes are $3,200. You're deciding whether to sell the house or convert it for your own use as a professional office. What's the proper cash flow amount to use as the initial investment when analyzing the option of using the house as a professional office? Okay, who wants to help me start? What costs in here are sunk costs and what costs are costs that we should look into?
It's a sunk cost. The house the price you paid for the house is a sunk
Good.
cost.
Good. Okay.
Property taxes, you have to pay them if you keep it as a business anyway, so it doesn't matter in this equation.
Yep, good. So I don't think that the rent matters really either.
It doesn't matter when you read the question the second time.
Yeah.
When I did it, I read it as you read it out, so I was like, well, we're gonna lose that if we turn it into something else. But
Yeah.
read the question right.
Yeah, good. So, David, what are the costs we should include in our calculation?
So we're looking at opportunity cost here. If you're keeping it, the opportunity cost is what you could get for it based on the recent appraisal. And if you sold it, you would also incur the real estate fees. So you have to consider both those.
Perfect. Yep, that's great. So this question, all it's doing is trying to see if you know what costs are important versus not, which actually is important to know how to do, especially if you've done the project. Knowing what's important information that you're going to use and what's like sunk costs or opportunity costs that aren't going to be realized. So rent doesn't matter, maintenance expenses don't matter, what it cost 4 years ago is irrelevant. Property taxes you pay no matter what. So the only thing that we're going to do on this one is just add the home value and the real estate fees. So let's start this. Okay, question one. The house cost and the real estate fees. So question one is 255, and I forget what the other number is. Let's see. 2,400. Okay. And I'm just gonna sum these, and that's gonna be my answer. Sweet, easy enough. Okay. I didn't even look at the number. Hold on. 275, 400. Okay. Sweet.
Real estate fees would have to be subtracted out. If you sold it, you're going to
Oh yeah,
lose
you're
that.
right. I totally botched that. This number should be negative. Sorry, guys. Question one, I already made a mistake. Okay, 234, 600. Okay, there we go. Okay, question two. Seeing Red has a new project that will require fixed assets of 905, which will be depreciated on a 5-year maker's schedule. The annual depreciation percentages are 20%, 32%, 19.2%, 11.52%, and 11.52% respectively. The company has a tax rate of 21%. What's the depreciation tax shield for year 3? Who knows the formula for depreciation tax shield? Anybody? I believe this one's on the exam, so you're going to want to write it down.
Tax rate times depreciation.
Easy. Good job. Okay, so let's see. This says year 3, so let's just build out this whole schedule. Got 20, 32, 19.2. Okay. Question 2. Okay, we've got, let's start year, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only care about year 3. Makers percentages are going to be 20%, 32%, 19.2%, 11.52%, and 11.52%. Okay, we good there? Beginning book value is what it was worth. Depreciation is what we're subtracting, and ending book value is what we're going to use our depreciation tax shield. So let me put the tax rate over here. 21%, I think. Okay, now let's go back here. Make sure we've got everything right. 21%, $905,000. Okay, that's all I need. Okay, this is 905. And then with maker's depreciation, it's important that when we are depreciating everything, we want this value to be locked. The beginning book value in year 1 should be locked for all years when you're using maker's depreciation. This is a really common mistake. I see it all the time, especially in the project, but that's okay. And this will like ruin your answer for the exam. Most people will not lock this cell and they'll just make the beginning book value times that percentage.
Wait, so which one do we need to lock?
You need to lock the initial investment. So you're depreciating this percentage from your initial investment every year.
So it's the 950,000.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the 905. Yep. So I'm gonna sum these. Copy that across, and then here I'm gonna make my beginning book value in the second year equal to my ending book value in the previous year. Okay. We want the depreciation tax shield for year 3. So we've got depreciation times tax. We're getting this, but I think it should be positive. Is that right? Someone check me. Okay.
Yes, it should be positive.
Okay, good. Okay, so this number, let's see, 364.89.6. Okay, so 36 or 89 point, oh, what the heck? 0.60. Except I need to read if she doesn't want decimals. Final answer to 2 decimals. Sweet. Okay, so does that look good to everyone? I might go through and make sure I'm gonna round it right. Yep, okay, that's right. 36489. Okay, sweet. That's the answer for question 2. Are we good on that? Okay. I'm assuming silence means we're good to move on. So let me look at this. Okay. Korea Radio Broadcasting has a project available with the following cash flows. What's the payback period in years? Okay. What I'm going to do is just screenshot this actually and just paste it right in there. Okay. So I don't have to keep going back. Question 3, way too big. Okay, payback period is the only decision rule that you have to create that you don't use your free cash flows for. So you have to use, well, not explicitly your free cash flows. You have to create a new line called cumulative cash flows. So what I'm going to do is just copy down my free cash flows from here. And then I'm going to create a cumulative cash flow chart underneath. So 4,900 and 4,500. Okay. Then I make this line called cumulative cash flows. And this one's just going to be that 15,000. This one's going to be, just copy that across. Okay, and what I'm looking for with my payback period is the last year that we were negative, so that would be year 2. So I'm going to say equals year 2. Oh gosh, please just let me, okay. Equals year 2 plus the ratio of how much you owe, but I want that number to be positive. So I'm going to put in a negative sign because this number is negative. Does that make sense? It's turning it to positive. Divided by how much I made in the next year. Okay. Oh, geez. There we go. Except that's not right. 2 plus, oh, because I clicked the wrong one. Okay. Okay, so 2.26. And this makes sense because we know that we turned positive some point after the end of year 2, right? So we were negative in year 2 and we were positive in year 3. So I know somewhere in between the end of year 2 and the end of year 3 that my cash flows turned positive. And when I look at this, I still owed 1,300, but the next year I made $5,000. It's about a fourth, right? 1,300 is about a fourth of $5,000. So this makes sense because I just did 2 plus a fourth, and I'm just looking at the exact point in time where my cash flows turned positive. So let's round this down to 2 decimals, 2.27, and we'll go put it in here. Okay. Does payback period make sense to everyone that's on here, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Thanks. Okay, moving on. We're almost done. Not really. This is way longer than it used to be. Oh, they're parts. Never mind. Okay. Isaac has analyzed 2 mutually exclusive projects that have 3-year lives. Project A has an NPV of 81,406, a payback period of 2.48, and an IRR of 9.31%. Project B has an NPV of 82,909, a payback period of 2.57 years, and an IRR of 9.22%. The required return for Project A is 11%. 11.5%, while it's 12% for Project B. Isaac must make a recommendation and justify it in 15 words or less. Okay, who wants to take a stab at this one?
I was thinking there should be a reject both because they don't make the required returns, but that's not an option. So net present value, whichever one's the highest, you go with.
Perfect. Yep. So, 2 things right off the back. One, NPV is king. So she talked about this in multiple lectures. If you're in the in-person class, I taught that lecture. NPV is king. If you're faced with making a decision about a certain project, the choice, if there's conflicting information from the decision rules, should always go down to NPV. So whichever NPV is higher is the one you're going to want to accept. Second, when you see a mutually exclusive right here, it means one or the other. So you cannot accept both projects because both NPVs are positive. This one actually gets missed a ton on the test because I don't know if we don't understand what mutually exclusive is or if we just don't like read the question. That's fine either way, but we got to make sure that we understand we can only choose one of these. So NPV of 82 is going to be the winner right here, Project B. So this one looks like that's right. Also, if we're going to look at process of elimination, if all of them are saying except A or except both, and there's only one except Project B, probably we can use our critical thinking skills there. Okay.
So I got a question. I know
Yeah.
NPV is king, but if this was real case, real world scenario, and they had those required returns, since neither one of them made it, wouldn't you technically reject them because they don't make the required return?
So that's a great question. The only reason, so the IRR and the NPV are like inherently linked because you're using the same cash flows to get your NPV and your IRR, right? So it doesn't make sense to me that project A has a positive NPV and their IRR is smaller than their required rate of return, right? Because the decision rule is usually when IRR is greater than the required rate of return we accept, right? So it looks like just like looking at this high level, your there's one case where the IRR actually should be less than the required rate of return. And it's when you have financing cash flows. Okay. And she did a lecture on this. If you're in the in-person class, it was a lecture she was gone for. So it was an online lecture. And if you're in the online class, you should have watched it regardless. It wasn't like a weird thing. But the internal rate of return should be less than the required rate of return when you're using financing cash flows. And financing cash flows are basically where you go and you find a bunch of debt. So in year 0, you have a massive cash inflow instead of a cash outflow like we usually do. And then in the subsequent years, your cash flows are negative because you're going to be paying down that debt. Does that make sense? So it's almost like the signs on your cash flows flip. So does the decision rule with the IRR. So knowing that this question has a positive NPV, but the IRR is smaller than the required rate of return tells me that it's going to have financing cash flows.
So is number 4 just done purely through critical thinking skills? You don't have
Yes.
to use Excel? Okay.
Yep. You shouldn't have to use Excel. Yeah, it's just a think through it question. More
Would that be the
contextual.
same on the exam for
Yeah, it won't be like this exact question, right? But it's gonna be something similar. She wants you to understand how the decision rules work together, and which ones you should pay attention to most when it really comes down to making a decision. So I could see something like this being on the exam. Definitely not the exact same, but just knowing how to critically think, she's gonna have a couple conceptual questions. Okay. Pham and Davis currently sells, 9820 motorhomes per year at 45,500 each, and 3680 luxury motor coaches per year at 89,700 each. The company wants to introduce a new portable camper to fill out its product line. It hopes to sell 4,000 of these campers per year at 14,750 each. An independent consultant has determined that if the new campers are introduced, the sale of its existing motorhomes will likely increase by 250 units per year, while the sales of its motor coaches will probably decline by 368 units per year. What is the amount that should be used as the annual sales figure when evaluating the portable camper project? Okay. I think there was a homework with this question on it. Let me snap another screen grab of this because I'm gonna put it in Excel. I'm gonna want to use Excel on this one, but it's not like projecting free cash flows. So if that makes you happy, that's good for you. Okay, question 4. Okay, so I'm gonna label one side current and another side new with the portable camper line. Okay, so as is, we've got units and prices of 2 goods. I'm gonna move these down actually. Got units and prices of 2 goods. One is motor homes and motor coaches. Hello. Okay. So I'm looking at this and I see units is 9820, and for motor coaches it's 3680, and prices is 45.5 and 89,700. Okay. So currently sales for motorhomes are this huge thing. Okay, we have got 10 minutes left and then we're gonna all hop back on the Zoom. If you've been in my office hours, you know this is a lasting issue. And then I'll do total sales is the sum of these two. Okay. New, I've got units, prices, and this time I've got 3. So let's see. I've got motor homes, motor coaches, and what's the other thing? Oh, portable campers. Okay, make this big enough. Okay, sweet. So units of motorhomes, it says if we introduce these new campers, sales of existing motorhomes will increase by 250 units per year. So I'm going to say 250 plus my last units. Motor coaches, I'm going to have this minus 368 units. The prices are going to stay the same. And then I've got my portable campers. They're wanting to sell 4,000 of these at 14,750. Okay, so I'll do sales here. Nope, equals. Okay. So total sales is going to be sum of these 3. Sweet. Let's just, I want to be able to see my commas. So let's look. So it looks like they're better off with the portable campers, which is cool, but not necessarily what we're looking for. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in there because I don't want to. Okay. Only other thing. Oh no, she doesn't say that. Okay. Don't want to put this $sign in there, and I don't want any commas. Whoa. Okay. Sweet. Does anyone have questions on that one?
Yeah, can you go back to that real quick so I can screenshot it and write it
Excel?
down while you do it? Yeah.
Sorry, did you also mention that after the meeting you're gonna be uploading everything, even the Excel?
Yeah, the Excel and the recording of the Zoom I'll put on Canvas. So,
Is it gonna be like sent to us as an announcement or just like
yeah, I'll put it in an announcement.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So you can screenshot if you want, but this whole thing's getting recorded. I'm probably going to post it on YouTube because I don't think I can post it on Canvas. And I'll share my Excel sheet in the announcement as well. So you can come see. Okay. Let's go to question 5.
Really quick, I missed, what did you actually put as your answer?
This total sales right here says, what is the amount that should be used as the annual sales figure when evaluating the portable camper project? So this has the portable camper in there. I'm going to put my total sales for motorhomes, coaches, and portable campers.
Right, but wouldn't we just go with the difference? Actually, you did. Never mind. You're good.
No, we'll leave it as it is because that's like when we're building our income statement, we'll leave our total sales like this every year. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, that was 5, so my numbers are off. Okay, project has cash flows of this. The hurdle rate is 15%. Sorry, I'm not going to read the numbers. The project has what type of cash flows? Investment, right? We talked about financing. Does anyone want to reiterate what I said about financing? What's weird about financing cash flows?
negative up front and then positive thereafter. No,
Close.
did you have negative throughout, like can be scattered throughout depending on whenever they.
Yeah. So it's just going to be the opposite of that. So if I've got a positive investment up front and I'm paying things off, that means I've got investment cash flows. Okay, and then it wants me to find the IRR. I'm going to screenshot this again because I don't want to type all the numbers in. Okay. This is number 6 though. Okay. Okay, so let me zoom in here. Okay. I don't know why it's cutting off like that. Okay. Project has cash flows, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Except it's only 3. Why is my computer being annoying? Okay. Okay. This is negative 35,000. This is 0, 10,000, and 42. Okay. And then the IRR formula is the easiest out of all of them. Okay. Let's buff it out. See how many? 15.21. Okay. Should I accept or reject this project? The hurdle rate is 15%. So my hurdle rate is greater than my required rate. So I'm going to accept, right? Okay. I'm assuming silence means we know what's up. Okay. Okay. So let's look here. This is an interesting question. I could see her doing something like this on the exam. It's not really hard. It's just, it feels like when you first start, you've got a huge lack of information. So let me move all of this over. Okay. Oh, it didn't copy. That's annoying. Okay. Okay, let's paste this in here. Sweet. Hello. Okay. This is question 7. And we've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to try to finish this question, then everyone hop back on the Zoom, okay? Okay. So this is weird because it's asking about our operating cash flow, but it gives us 2 numbers. So what the heck? Okay. What I would do, if you're confused about this, make up some numbers and just see how much the operating costs increase. So let's say we've got 200,000. We've got variable costs. Well, let's just call this costs. Let's keep it as simple as possible. Depreciation, EBIT, tax, net income, OCFs. Okay, so I'm just going to make up these numbers, and I can make up these numbers so long as they stay the same. So old, and I'm going to say new right here. I'm making up these numbers, 200,000. Okay. And costs, let's say, I don't know, 100,000. No, let's do less than that. Let's do 50,000. $50,000 for costs. Depreciation, let's just say, well, let's keep it simple, 50,000. Okay. EBIT is the sum of these. Tax is going to be 0.21 times this. Oh, hello. Not that. Okay. And net income is going to be the sum of these. OCF is going to be equal to net income plus the absolute value of depreciation, which is actually minus. Okay, so I did that. That's not too hard. It's gonna reduce costs by 41,500. So that means costs go down. So I'm gonna do equals 51,000. I'm gonna add 41,200. No, 41,500, sorry. Okay. My cost went down, depreciation is going to go up, so I'm gonna say this minus